Welcome to ICology. It's the podcast dedicated to interesting people doing interesting things in the world of internal communications. And yes, I'm back again with another episode. I know it's hard to believe. It's been a little while off, but we're back again. And this time I'm here with Pinaki Kathiari, CEO and co-founder of Local Wisdom. And we're going to be talking co-creation today. If internal comms is your passion, then this is your podcast. Listen in. Hello, I'm your host, Chuck Ghost, and thank you for listening. The last time I saw Pinaki Kathiari was at a hotel bar in New Jersey. That's another story. If you go back to some old episodes I did with Banana Tag, those are the Chuck Chats live episodes from IABC World Conference last year, then that was the last time Pinaki and I discussed creation and internal communication. And despite those two times, we're still not done talking about it. So Pinaki, welcome to ICology.
Thank you, Chuck. Thank you so much for having me again. And honestly, thank you for doing all you do for internal comms in the community here. Love the creativity that you bring into all the different facets of what you do for the community. So,
well, that just bought you a few more free drinks at the next hotel bar that we're at. So, as I mentioned earlier, you are the CEO and co-founder of Local Wisdom. But Local Wisdom isn't just an internal comms agency. So what is Local Wisdom? What are you guys?
That's a good question. Yeah. So Local Wisdom, we're a unique company. We're a digital communications agency, right? And basically the way I'm setting up the company is we exist to enable communicators and marketers to achieve mastery over everyday digital communications. Because right now there's so much crossover between internal comms and marketing or external comms that it's like the lines are so blurred. And I feel like we have learnings on one side of the fence that can be applied to the other side of the fence and vice versa. So I think it just makes us kind of stronger to kind of be versed in both sides. But what we do essentially is, we work with medium to large businesses. Usually they're regulated companies with multiple products and multiple brands. And we help them launch communication channels like websites, internets, apps. And then we help them manage the flow of communications on those channels from like emails, articles, videos, and et cetera. And I've set up our business models in the way we work with our clients so that we could basically scale and adjust based on their needs. So we could work on a project basis, on a subscription basis, or if we really want to ramp it up for large companies, we have an in-house studio service, which is like placing like a mini Local Wisdom inside of your organization to really up volume and have production working directly with people within the company.
Now, you mentioned you work with a lot of regulated companies. And I'm not going to say I hear a lot of complaints from communicators from regulated companies, but I do hear some excuses coming from regulated companies. So how do you guys enable that? Not only say you don't want to enable the excuses. How do you overcome those excuses when you hear about these regulated environments?
It's really tough, because, a lot of times these are kind of big companies and they are big targets as well from a legal standpoint. So we just have to make sure that like the I's are crossed or the I's are dotted and the T's are crossed. Yeah. But it could be a struggle, and it kind of depends on like the legal teams that you're working with. And again, kind of like, it's better to work with them and bring them on for the ride and the journey rather than, here, how about this? They don't like it. And then you kind of walk away grumbling type of thing.
And that's a good approach. I think sometimes communicators, we tend to automatically start with a very adversarial relationship, whether it be with legal, whether it be with IT. And I think it is even just something, the semantics of saying we're going to work with you on this could help change that relationship a bit.
Yeah, it's like communication it's a creative field, right? Like same thing with like designers and whatnot, and as in a lot of things. But what you do is you're putting your own like self and soul into your work, and then so when someone tells you that you can't do it, or or they have feedback on that, it could easily turn personal. I tell my designers, never fall in love with your work, just so you can take in this criticism or critique in a objective way.
That probably want to make them fall in love with it even more, though. If you say don't fall in love with it.
Yeah, I know. Exactly. It's like daddy telling you, like, take out the trash. I don't want to take it.
So we know a little bit more about Local Wisdom, but who is Pinaki Kathiari? On Twitter, you are the only Pinaki. But what motivates you? What frustrates you? Like, what drew you into this world of internal
Mm.
comms?
Oh, that's deep, yo. Yeah. So yeah, who is Pinaki? Pinaki. I'm all over the place. It's probably the best way I could say it. I say the story of like how I always wanted to be an engineer growing up because my dad was an engineer, and then around seventh grade, someone told me that they could draw better than me, and I said like, no, you can't. And then that's where this kind of creative side of me started coming out. So like in high school, like I was in like honors classes and on the debate club and the science club and other nerdy clubs. But I was also in the football team. I was like a DJ. I produced a hip hop group, and I like to write fictional stories. So it was this kind of like constant, this logical side and then this creative side. We're always at some kind of either hating each other or playing really well with each other. Even in college, I studied computer science and psychology. I tried to get into the art school to do both, but at the time they didn't allow kind of both design and technology to happen at the same time. And then I graduated around the time when that tech bubble burst, so that all jobs went away. So then I found myself in just all types of different positions. I started as a technical writer, then a project manager, office manager, designer, developer, then got into marketing and communications. So I played like a whole lot of different roles, and I think I might be ADD. I don't know. I'm undiagnosed, but I think it's kind of really where I've kind of started leaning into it and just accepting that this is what it is. So like even in kind of like the talks and what I do now, I realize that what I really enjoy, I guess this kind of goes into like what motivates me, is I really enjoy getting people together and like harnessing that collective wisdom. The idea is that we're all smart people coming together with great experiences, and if we could just bring it together, that would be awesome. I like to add a dash of chaos into the mix because I think as humans, we're just wired to go into pattern mode, and I think the sameness breeds in weakness. So I like to figure out ways to add something really different to the mix. And then I like to mix and remix things. I guess that's from like the DJing days. So like, how can we take all of that and just create entirely new things out of it? Type of scenario. Does that make sense, or am I
No,
rambling
it
here?
does. I like the sameness breeds weakness. I like that. But
Yeah.
what I need to know now is what was your DJ name and what was this hip hop group's name?
You've never heard of either, I'm sure. But oh man, on ICology, wow. So the DJ name was DJ Pac-Man, uh, kind of like the arcade game Pac-Man. And the group, I had two different groups. This was like the high school band that never made it. One was called R Styles, or Restricted Styles.
Mm,
Um, and the other one was called BKS, Best Kept Secret.
wow,
So
very good.
yeah.
Now, before we
Yeah.
get to the co-creation stuff, I thought this was very unique. I saw at the end of February that Local Wisdom participated in a hackathon with local college students. You guys got some great local media attention. I saw it on Twitter and Instagram. You were sharing it. What was that event like? Why did you guys get involved? And how do you think you could do like that hackathon environment with communicators?
Oh yeah. Oh, it was really fun actually. Yeah, the story it started when my COO CTO Michael Alfaro. You met Mike when we were at another conference one, but he noticed that we had quite a few women developers at Local Wisdom, and he talked to them and he got them to speak at a Women in Computer Science organization at the College of New Jersey. We do work with the College of New Jersey from like an intern's perspective. But on that very day when they were there, I was speaking at a conference with Dr. Lino, who's also going to be at PRSA Connect. And Dr. Lino was talking about the drop off in women in technology between like grammar school and high school, which was pretty like stark. Um, and kind of like putting it all together, like you know, the owners of Local Wisdom, we believe in supporting women in tech and women in leadership and the next generation of the workforce. Basically, we like supporting anyone who's like outside of their comfort zone, because we started this business right out of college without any experience. And so we want to do what we can to support others. So one thing led to another, and we sponsored this hackathon mainly to inspire students to go after it. The hackathons are all about endurance, pressure, and teamwork, right? And that's synonymous with achieving anything in life. So we wanted the students to know that what they were doing on a Saturday and a Sunday was super important. Like while their peers were out playing video games or watching other people play video games or taking selfies with doggy ears, these kids were actually there taking a step to the next level, and we wanted to support that. And we actually reached out to CBS Philadelphia to let them know that it was happening, and they were also excited. And so they sent a news crew out, which also like motivated the kids and everything. And it really came together. Like after the event, one woman student, she sent me an email saying how she was very intimidated at first, but just the encouragement that we gave her the strength to kind of sign up and do more hackathons. So it was very fulfilling from many fronts. And I think, I think like Ann Milliger, there's a bunch of people that I've met that are really taking this hackathon approach to business. So there's like Hack HR is happening, Hack Internal Comms. But the idea is very similar to like what we were talking about, this co-creation. You have, 24 hours. Sometimes you have a topic in which to play within, and you're out there coming up with a product. So it's kind of, you have, like I said, pressure, you have endurance, you have teamwork, and you have to create something out of nothing. And I think that type of stuff creates some amazing innovations. Like even from the hackathon, we saw some amazing ideas come out from these high school and college kids.
Now, you've been beating this co-creation drum now for a little while. For those who haven't heard your drum beats, so to speak, how do you define co-creation? What is co-creation?
Yeah. I think it's many things, and it's been called many different things, and it's probably just a fancy way for like saying teamwork or working well together. But that's, I think, what it really is in a nutshell. It's just like working well together and just jamming in a smooth and easy way. It's kind of like being in a jazz ensemble, which they go kind of freestyle, and they're just jamming together. Many times in like work world, when we're working on something together, it's kind of this almost committee style approach where like, if you give me a project, if I have to like create an X, whatever, I'll do some research, I'll have some ideas, I'll put some designs together, and then I'll set up a meeting with you and maybe other people on the team and show you. And then you'll give me your feedback, and I'll most likely get frustrated because you've like dissed my idea, and you'll most likely get frustrated because I'm like overly defending my ideas. But we'll do it again and again until we get to a place where we agree. But it's very like, here's my idea, what do you think of it, kind of type of approach, and it could turn adversarial quick. So for us, it came to light because we'd create like complex apps and things like that at times, and we'd end up creating these like thick books of like features and functionality requirements that our customers would have to like sign off on because that's what they'll use to develop on top of. But it became like, the more complex these tools and things that we built got, the more questions and the more back and forth they had, because our clients didn't go through the journey with us. So they'd say, what about this? And we're like, oh, well, we thought about that, and the reason that won't work was because of this. So it was just a lot of that. And so we kind of like realized that, why don't we just kind of call them over and just like jam for like 4 hours and kind of go through a lot of these things. And then once we have this kind of like a right level of alignment, then we could go and document. So instead of documenting and back and forth, well, let's just get alignment first and then do that. So we're kind of co-creating it, and it sped up the process so much more. And that's pretty much where it came from. And so I guess co-creation is the ability to just kind of make things better and faster than you could on your own. And I think it's about like leaving your ego at the door in a way. It's about how can we all be successful rather than how can I be right? You know what I mean? I think I was reading Cy Wakeman's book on that, and I think it makes a lot of sense to just kind of really just work together to get there faster.
So what's a struggle that some people have with co-creation? Is it ego? Is it they view it as group work. And for some people, is it worth the struggle for them to go through that co-creation exercises? I get what you were saying, your example, that was more around bringing everybody along for the journey.
Mm-hmm.
But what about those people that don't want to be part of the journey?
Yeah, no, that's true. It's probably one of the struggles that I had to really figure out and get over when I was doing this, because it all started with me kind of like creating workshops as local wisdom services. But that's one of the first things is one, to acknowledge that there's different people with different personalities, right? They think, learn, and process information in different ways, right? So I'm one that, like, let's all get together and let's get on a whiteboard and put ideas together and just work. But I've met others who kind of seize up in that situation. They're more comfortable getting the information and then going off on their own and locking themselves in a room and creating something and then coming back to the team. So I think that's one thing that people struggle with when they're co-creating. It's like, why don't you just think and work like me? It just doesn't work that way. So I think for that, you have to kind of give people like their own latitude and way. So you have to mix it up in that way. Ego is another thing, I think, too. It's like when it kind of goes into like my idea or I'm right, then it kind of starts going away from we, us, and like the success of the group. So I think like people have to be open to like change their point of view or change other people's point of view. I think we have to be really mindful of our intent. Another kind of big one, this is probably the biggest for a lot of people, is around the kind of truth and honesty. Like, how do you tell people like, I don't like that idea, or how do you, say things like that? Because a lot of times when we're uncomfortable, we'll either kind of say it in a brash way, or we won't say it at all. And either way, it's not productive. So I think like one of the things that people struggle with, or the biggest thing people struggle with, is setting up that relationship with people that are in your group so that you can be honest and you can be transparent without being fearful of persecution or being attacked back type of scenario. You know what I mean?
It's an interesting thought around kind of the providing feedback in that group setting. Recently on LinkedIn, it was believed you shared a great Harvard Business Review article about feedback and thinking about feedback differently. Kind of very quickly here, is that something that you think should be brought into any sort of co-creation exercises, giving people some quick tips on maybe how to provide the right kind of feedback in that environment?
Yeah, the best way I've been thinking about it is not necessarily like how to give the feedback or the words that you say. I think it really starts with the relationship that you have with each other. And that's where we start, is to create a good bond or a relationship that lets both people know that I'm going to tell you things, and it's not because I'm personally don't like you type of scenario. It's because I want what we create to be the best thing as possible. I think I realized this a long time ago when I told two people my idea, and the first person told me that the idea sucks, and the second person told me that the idea sucks. But I was less upset at the second person, and I kind of took it in more. And I like, it really took me aback, because I'm like, why is that? They didn't say it in much different ways or anything like that. So, and I realized that with the second person, I was just much more comfortable with this person. And I innately, without a doubt, knew that this person isn't trying to hurt me. While the other one, well, maybe it was more in question. So that's what prompted me to say, you know what, I got to go to that person one and work on my relationship with them, which I then did, and it made it a lot better. Now it's like any feedback that I get, I don't take it personally in the way, because I've established this. We've talked it through, and I've established, and I believe that person one is not trying to go after me. You know what I mean?
I do. And it reminds me a little bit, I guess it's kind of like co-creation in a maybe slightly different way. I've heard an interview with an author, and they're an award-winning author, but they had this writer's group, and it was like a playwright, a poet, novelist, all these people together, and they would get together to help each other improve their ideas. She was worried that once she won this award, this group of people wouldn't provide her the same type of feedback because she'd already won an award. What kind of feedback does she need? When in fact she went to them and said, no, I'm the same person. I still need that same feedback. I need you to help me get better. So they weren't co-creating even on the same project, but they were helping each other co-create on their own individual.
Yeah.
projects. And she really mentioned that feedback was the key element for her.
It is. It's so important because, like, my, every one of our biggest fear is that, like, we're slipping and we don't know it, right? Like, it's my big fear. Like, if I'm doing something wrong right now, or if I'm not saying anything right, I'd like you to tell me. If I have spinach in my teeth, I'd like you to tell me, and I'm not going to get offended with it, you know?
Well, you mentioned it earlier. You're back at PRSA Connect 19 this year doing another workshop, keeping in mind that last year you were the highest rated speaker at Connect, present company included. So what are you going to do to top things here? No pressure, Pinaki, but
Yeah.
you set the stage for a truly a great workshop last year. What are
Yeah.
you doing at Connect this year?
Thank you for that. I was really, really happy to get that that rating last year. So this year is going to be much different than last year. Last year we co-created and we broke up into teams and we actually crafted wallets together, and it was so much energy. We'll still have energy. We'll still have the key elements of learning and playing games together at the same time. I think that's one of the things that you could always count on me for. Is there'll be some education, but there'll also be some entertainment, and there'll also be chaos. So we're gonna be creating a really simple tactical We're gonna be learning a simple tactical communication strategy framework, and we're gonna get to practice that along with our fellow attendees by randomly creating communication strategies for each other. So it's gonna be fun, and it's going to involve the use of paper airplanes, which will all go up together, and it'll add the dash of randomness that we need here.
And it sounds like a little bit of chaos as well. Anytime there's a lot of paper airplanes in the air.
Oh yeah, there's no telling what's going to happen. It's gonna be fun.
Well, I know. Well, I'll tell you what's going to happen. I know people are going to love it, so I know that's going to happen. But I do want to thank you, Pinaki, for being a guest on ICology, sharing your ideas with listeners. It's always great chatting with you. We'll be seeing each other again very soon. We're going to be in New York City at Banana Tag's Comms Lab. Search for that if you want to register. It's a free event right there in downtown New York City. And PRSA Connect this coming May in Phoenix. You can find all the information around that. Just search for hashtag PRSA Connect. Please follow ICology on Twitter at LearnICology to pick up show announcements as well as other IC news. If you're not already a subscriber, listen to ICology on iTunes or wherever you get your podcasts. And if you like what you hear, please leave a review. They do matter to me. And if internal comms is your passion, ICology is your podcast. Thanks for listening in.